The Republic is on the ground, hoping to liberate the planet Ryloth. We watched Innocents of Ryloth for our Clone Wars Chronological Rewatch, and now it's time to break it all down.
Obi-Wan leads a small clone force onto the planet's surface to destroy Separatist anti-aircraft guns. With the help of a young Twi'lek girl named Numa, they are able to do so without any civilian casualties, despite the droids using hostages as human shields.
The theme of this episode is the costs of war can never be truly accounted for, and I think this is best illustrated in the character of Numa. Mm-hmm. We see her visit her home, and she's very broken up about it, and it's like, yeah, we can tally lost property or even lost lives in a war, but I think that the unseen, unaccounted for consequences of war are, like, more mental. Mm-hmm. And, like, think about how a child like Numa is affected by what she's seen. I guess we can technically see it because she's in Star Wars Rebels as a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
And that's just like, I guess the consequences of something like this are almost like generational violence. Mm-hmm. And although this is, I would say, a noble fight, like she is fighting the good fight, maybe her instincts towards violence come from what she experienced as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, her character reminds me of Saw Gerrera, because he shows up in the Clone Wars, and then later we see what he's become in Rogue One, which is a crazy freedom fighter, and he has, like, some serious PTSD.
I hadn't made that connection at all, but yeah, I think that's a very, like, good, strong link to just him kind of latching on to the violence and thinking it's the only solution.
Yeah.
And I think a major theme of Star Wars as a whole is violence versus diplomacy, or violence versus non-violence. Like, we see that with Obi-Wan in this episode. Mm-hmm. That's how he deals with the Gutkers. He traps them. He doesn't, like, brutally kill them all one by one. He finds a peaceful solution, in a way.
Yeah.
This all kind of makes me think of the show Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, which we are huge, huge fans of. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the major themes of that show is that when it comes to generational violence, someone has to break the cycle.
Yeah.
That when it comes to the war between the humans and the Cylons, it's been going on for decades at this point. Like, someone has to let past sins go and say, like, we're not going to fight anymore. We're done. There's no reason to keep doing this.
Let the past die.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, like, there's this whole argument that, like, Kylo Ren's the bad guy. He doesn't mean let the past die, but it's also like you need to acknowledge it and let it go.
Right.
And the last thing I wanted to talk about is Waxer and Boyle, because I think they get the strongest character arc.
Yeah, I really liked them in this episode.
Yeah, they're great clones, and this is their first episode, and they start off, like, straight up prejudiced. Like, they call Twi'leks tailheads.
Yeah.
They wish that they could just kick the doors down and take Ryloth. They don't really care about casualties or anything. They say, like, I wish the tailheads would get out of our way, and it's like, all right, well, now you're acting like the droids who are using them as human shields.
Yeah, and then we see them kind of going through the town, and they get strangely philosophical, talking about war and stuff, and I think one of them says, like, oh, it's not the buildings that make a city, it's the people. It's like, okay, well, that's a drastic change from before.
It's just showing you, yeah, that there's more to these guys. They're not, like, just meatheads that want to shoot and kill. And then, yeah, once they meet Numa, mm-hmm. that's when they start to develop this relationship, and they change from being just calloused soldiers to caring people who want to save the Twi'leks.
Yeah.
It's a really strong, like, double character arc.
Yeah. And in the end, they find out that she's been calling them brother mm-hmm. the whole time. And I don't know which one it is, but who is it that gets a Twi'lek on its shoulder?
I don't remember either.
One of them, he, like, after that happens, he, like, has a Twi'lek painted on his shoulder pad.
Mm. And I think even Numa, when she shows up in Rebels, has some clone armor in their colors as part of her armor.
Which is a really cool connection.
Yeah, I love their relationship. Before wrapping up, let's go over some of the random trivia from the episode. Obi-Wan's gunship is called the Crumb Bomber, seen multiple times throughout the series.
The display screens in the Separatist Command Center were designed to resemble the targeting grid of the Millennium Falcon.
Speaking of Battlestar Galactica earlier, the voice of the tactical droid was inspired by the voice of Lucifer in the original Battlestar Galactica series. You can also find those facts on StarWars.com's episode guides, and they're currently doing a chronological rewatch on their website as well if you want to check that out. I'll put a link in the description of all the episodes listed out chronologically, but that's it for today. Next week, we'll cover Season 1, Episode 21, Liberty on Ryloth, if you want to watch along. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel,
follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook,
and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.